Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Harmony. I am a twin flame expert helping twin flames around the globe face fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. Welcome to my weekly glow show. Today's topic is, are you diving for the light? And if you are, it's time to reach for the stars. I'm super excited to share this topic with you for so many different reasons. I want to share with you kind of like a little recap of the energy, and then we're going to dive right into discovering your light and what it takes to find that light, and most importantly, help you shine that light. And with that being said, before I start, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank you for showing up to these soul sessions that we have here in these video chats. I want to thank you for all the comments that I receive, the messages that I receive as to the lives that this message and this mission that I have here just to show up weekly for this glow show that it has, and that the lives it's affecting and changing and sharing this message. And I specifically want to say today I'm going to share with you also how I have cracked the code to the Van Gogh clues that I've been uncovering, and it was through the final pieces of big pieces of somebody that was listening to this video that sent me some information that plugged my leaks. And I'm going to share with you that information because technically, as the last couple messages coming through here, this is kind of like a finale of, I don't know if it's the finale, but it feels like the finale of that message that Van Gogh technically is kind of sending out. Again, we're going to be talking about diving for your light, finding your light, but at the same time reaching for the stars in order to shine and for you to go up in your own enlightenment. So what I'm seeing this week, as I've been seeing since we went through this new year portal shift that we've been going through, there's 3 types of energy happening all at the same time. I'm seeing a group of people that are making magic, and everything is just unfolding and clicking, and myself included in that. But I will say in the last week, and especially the last couple of days, there's been a lot of testing the truth, speaking the truth, standing up for self, creating empowerment, and really just standing in my own empowerment, which is also standing in our own light and letting that shine. And then there's been a lot of people that's been on the fence, and being on the fence of kind of being stuck in a lot. I mean, like where this is coming from is a lot of the purpose aspect, and that's what today's message about illuminating the light technically is about. That people are being stuck within their purpose and what they really came here. I mean, we've created this awakening, and now it's like, okay, well, what do I do with that? And I know that I came here with a mission, but I don't even know what that is, or much less how to start or how to proceed or how to move forward. But at the same token, it's in a phase of shift or be shifted based on the energy timelines that we're in. And people that have been on the fence are being put in situations to be forced to look at this and to find their light, basically, which is ultimately finding your truth. And then to do that is allowing that light to illuminate, which is illumination of your purpose, and letting your purpose live so you can shine forward yourself in motion, like light in motion, like we become the light in motion. And then there's the third wave of people that has been fighting this process and hanging on and not letting go and being forced to go through a lot of those continuation of those physical signs, those physical symptoms. And I will say I'm seeing that with a lot of people as well. And I still have on my list to talk about a list of the ascension symptoms and some ways that you can help with that. It's just that it's been preceding the messages, so I've got a running list of things that's coming. And but like when I woke up today, I didn't know what was coming out, but it all fell together today, and I know this is the message for you today and what you need to hear. So in the meantime, what I will say about this transition, about all of what I'm saying here, It ultimately is like we're hitting in that ascension, the rebirth of not just ourselves and recreating, but the resurrection. And that kind of depends on where you're at in the journey. Are you rebirthing or are you resurrecting? But it's all part of the process. And I've had some beautiful experiences this week with some clients that have been going through rebirth. And I have one of them that was this morning that had a very, very beautiful experience that did a lot of confirmation for my topic today. And I'll share a few things with you about that too, because it really confirmed everything I'm about to share with you here today. So let me see where I need to start here. So ultimately, if you really want to think about purpose, your only real purpose in life is to let your light shine. I mean, that is your only real purpose. Now, inside of there, we do have a message. We have that is our gift that we receive, like our spiritual gifts. And then when we go share it, it's our gift back, to the world, to share that and pay that forward. You signed up for this journey. You signed up for this calling that technically is your truth that you're trying to awaken within. So ultimately, when I say you're diving for light, really you're diving for truth. And what is the truth inside of you? And the truth inside of you is that voice, that inner place that says and knows all the ancient wisdom that you're unlocking, that you came here to share at this particular time of the universe, retemplating and the new ways to do things, the new blueprints of how we're moving into the feminine energy, and the old ways of structure basically, and the old ways of doing things that have been came down from generation to generation to generation. We are now coming in and we're saying that doesn't work. Now we need more flow. We need more energy and motion. We need more of the feminine aspect and the receive, because everything in the past was all about giving and doing, and now we're being and having. And being able to shift across that bridge is kind of the rebirth of that. And to be able to say that we're templating that is saying that we're creating, and we as twin flames, as a lot of people in this world that's going up in their ascension, is really coming here to anchor this light into the universe. Into the planet, which is really bringing the love of the universe into physical form. And we are becoming an extension and expression of God, if you will. And that is putting in motion liquid love. I talk about liquid love all the time, just because it literally is like energy and motion, but it's a love because you can't see love, right? You just know it and you feel it. Well, when you get into alignment with your purpose, it's about living your purpose with passion. And that allows it to illuminate so you can let it live, which means you then become you start to love what you do, love life, and enjoy it. And ultimately what this all means is an expression of heart, an expression of what you feel more than what you think. And to be able to ultimately have fulfillment and joy and peace and harmony and wholeness, which is what this coming into this alignment of self is all about. And to be able to restore that, not just within ourselves as individuals, but to bring that through and to do this collectively, to shift that balance and that harmony in the group collective consciousness. So we're flipping the paradigm that's retemplating the paradigm of the old ways and the new ways here in the physical form of Earth going forward. So again, thank you for signing up for that journey, because you are part of that. And that's why it feels so hard. And, we're setting the precedence of a new life, a new way. So, anytime you start something new, it's always, just think about when cell phones came out with their new version. There's always bugs. There's always these things. These things got to be worked out, Nothing's perfect in the aspect that it will all feel perfect. And definitely we've been going through that dark night of the soul that does not feel perfect. But ultimately it was necessary for us to illuminate within that, for us to find ourselves within that darkness, and to what we really are being asked to do, especially in this timeline that we've been going through with the lunar eclipse on January 31st, and then the solar eclipse coming on February 15th, which is creating its own little gateway and portal here of exactly what I'm talking about today, of taking the darkness to create the light and diving within so that we can wake that up and bring it out and then share the light, which is why we're talking about diving for light to find the truth within. Let that illuminate your passion. Let that shine and live out loud, creating the stars that we should now be reaching for in order to let our light shine. Okay, the stars shine. So this is why I'm saying we're going from the dark into the light and going from what the pitfall hell into that brightest possibility of like becoming all that we came here to be and experiencing all that we came here to experience. And a huge part of that is definitely, you know, connecting to the oneness with self. But we are beings that in that fulfillment need purpose. Now, I've been talking to you and I've been saying this for a long time, long before I knew I was even on the twin flame journey, that when you find a purpose and serve a purpose, your purpose will find you. And I've been saying to you that if you are not in purpose yet and you're in that misery, that you need to step outside of your misery to step into a purpose that gives you fulfillment, that lights you up, that gives you a sense of change, changing something, and it gives you a sense of inner peace and happiness, because it will pull you out of the darkness. It will shift you into the light, and it just happens. And along the way, what will happen is your purpose will unfold and it will evolve. And what we tend to do is we tend to like sit back and be stuck in, well, what, like, how do I do this? How do I get from here to there? See, the thing is, it's not your job to figure that out. The thing is for you to say yes to this journey. The thing is for you to say, yes, I'm going to show up in this. And then from there, the universe will figure out the how. It will show you the how. But you can't, you're being stuck in the idea of trying to figure out what you're doing. And I'm saying here to surrender to what it is, to how to do what you do. Just find what you love and make every day become a representation and an illumination of what is in your heart and what you love to do. And then that is going to evolve and help you shift across this bridge from this rebirth into your resurrection. So now we've been in, basically to kind of sum that up, we've been on this soul amnesia, and we're waking up to this. We've been waking up to our journey as twin flames, or the ascension and the consciousness. Okay, that's something we've been doing. But what this portal I was saying that we're going through now here in this heart of February, the love month, and the portal from the 31st to the 15th of January to February 15th of 2018 here. This portal is helping us to step into this purpose. It's helping us to now wake up the truth inside of ourselves. And that, again, is waking up your purpose and connecting to what is written in the stars, what you signed up for, so that you can bring that into form and activate that and be called home. And that purpose and that light will lead you home of that inner peace and the happiness of what it is that you chose to experience. And the thing is you need to listen. Like, the problem is people think they're listening, but they're listening to their mind and not their heart. You know, Rumi has a quote that says, listen, and the quieter you become, the more you hear. And so I challenge you today to take the opportunity to just step inside and listen to the music inside of you and allow that music to sing, like allow that song to sing. You know, what we tend to do is we want to shine and we want to let our voice out, but we tend to box it up and say, no, because of all the logical reasons. How am I going to get paid for something I would love to do, God forbid? And the list of that could go on and on. But again, just say yes and let the universe figure out, how you're going to do that. So let's talk about how do we find our truth? Because, our truth, what I'm saying, I'm going to back up and clarify one more time before I move on how we find that truth. I want to clarify one more time that your truth is the voice inside of you that wants to illuminate and sing its song and let your light come out to get in alignment with your purpose to live out your ultimate calling, basically. That is your truth. And that is, again, part of a contract you signed up for to do. And that's why the little nudge inside won't go away. And because of this energy I said about being on the fence, a shift or be shifted, you can't ignore it anymore, because things are going to come up in your life that's going to make you feel miserable until you wake up to this, until you wake up to your truth, because you're just out of the timeline of having the time to process that. It's not anymore. It's like shift or be shifted that I talk about. So now, how do we find the truth? Well, I'm going to share with you today 3 ways of helping you to kind of step into that truth. Number 1 is we got to get we got to practice rigorous honesty. Okay. Just so you know, I was saying the R word, and I want to tell you something. This has not happened since I was a child. When I was a child, I could not say the word roar. Okay. And it was because of the R. And here I was just about to say rigorous, and the R wasn't coming out. And I forgot all about that from years until just now. I even went to speech class to be able to say that roar. The R would not come out. So anyway, wow, that's pretty interesting that I haven't done that in years. But I guess rigorous is kind of definitely a little bit of a challenge too. Anyway, and I guess another point, and that being said, there are no accidents. I'm sure with that, coming out kind of here in this, it's kind of part of that message would be that our old patterns are coming off for us to see. Our old patterns, and this is kind of what I'm saying, things that you went through in the past were for a reason, and you might still experience those, and at the time they come up is the perfect timing for you to address them. And don't think that you are not perfect just because you have to repeat a cycle, so to speak. Okay, we might have to go back to speech class to learn how to say the word R, like as in I might have to. Okay, so what is rigorous honesty? One of the things about rigorous honesty is that so many people, due to persecution, have had the fear of being seen. So when it comes to purpose and it comes to mission, people are afraid to let their light shine because they're, God forbid, what other people think of them. Not to mention, we're coming out of the spiritual closet, right? And I know all about this. I was raised in a very, very, very religious home that is totally opposite of the concept and the idea of spirituality that I believe in. And while that's coming on, I want to tell you something else that's whatever reason is coming through. I'm going to just share this because, coming from this religious home, I was taught that, as far as Jesus was the only way to heaven, and it didn't resonate with my soul the way that it's portrayed in a religious concept and idea. But what I will tell you is Jesus is one of my direct guides now, and I've learned to have a personal relationship with him. And I also can understand more of what that concept means now. But Jesus is not in a box. And because of this whole concept of this letting your light shine and finding your truth and going forward and letting your own light shine the path, basically, is the other part of that. Jesus said, I am the truth, the light, and the way. And he's been coming through saying this for a week over and over and over, and it keeps coming through for clients, and they're even getting this in their messages back. And so the bottom line is, I guess, is that needed to come through. I personally had a hard time until the last 2 years or so having this personal relationship, and for whatever reason, he's really coming through with this. Well, he's going to be coming through this topic today, but he's really coming back through to help with this Christ consciousness and the unconditional love vibration of the heart. And so if you happen to be somebody like the way I was raised, now I'm not saying everybody is, but if you happen to have that stigma, just know you're not alone, that I've had it too, but I've learned to build a great relationship now, and I understand it from a different perspective. So that just needs to come through. Just let it go through. So what is rigorous honesty? It is the fear of being seen. For instance, okay, I'm going to use this as an example again. So a lot of times people would have a fear of talking about Jesus because the stigma of religion, right? Like, oh, we better keep Jesus quiet because, and this is why it's coming through. I can feel it now. It's like, okay, we got to keep him quiet because, that's going to, there's a lot of controversy there, right? So let's don't dig that box up. And even with what I just said to you, it opens a can of worms for controversy, right? So I'm being rigorously honest here in the fact of my own situation and how I built this relationship. And I had to dig myself out of the box of the spiritual, hiding the spirituality aspect of myself from my family and all kinds of other aspects, and worried about what people think. And I'm here to tell you, who gives a flying rat's ass, right? Like, that's what we have to get. That's what rigorous honesty is, being able to be open and not give a care about what people's reflections are of you. Because I can also promise you, the more you let your shine go out and you come out of the box and that you go forward with that mission, the bigger that mission gets, the duality of that, you're going to have this great wide range of these people that are just going to love you. But guess what? You're going to have a wide range of people that don't love you either. And duality, the brightness and the darkness, you're going to get both aspects. Okay. So with that being said, you do have to gain the empowerment of bringing that truth out in your purpose to be able to be open enough when it comes to the spiritual realms to speak about it in certain places, without the fear of what people are going to think. So I know this is hitting home somewhere. So that's why it had to come out, because that just came through. So I'm here to tell you, stop hiding in the closet. All right. Let your light shine, and do it through rigorous honesty with yourself. So rigorous honesty with self means to be also like, of course people can lie. Okay. When rigorous honesty is not about people lying. Rigorous honesty is about living in a glass house that ultimately says I can accept me for who I am, and that I good enough or not, perfect enough or not for other people, that it doesn't matter. Because what that ultimately means is you're taking accountability for your own actions, your own thoughts, your own beliefs. And you're able to then, by taking action to that, you're able to put it in motion, which is light in motion, that I'm going to share with you more about here in a minute. So, in addition, I want to just say something with that. A lot of times, and I've had this happen with like employees and, people that, they're afraid they'll lie to you about a situation. People can lie to you about a situation, and it be because they're afraid to admit their own mistakes, honestly. And therefore, and I'm talking where you hear these people that, like, of course there's a lie to lie about something big. But I'm talking about if you just can't even admit that you accidentally made a mistake, and I made a mistake, and I'm going to correct it, and I'm going to get better at it. It's like, no, I don't want somebody to see my mistakes, so I'm going to cover it up. And so I will even outwardly lie about it. We have to take accountability for this, is what I'm saying. And we have to accept that side of ourselves that we have to accept, that we have to feel good enough in to know that whether we are perfect or not, it's all enough, that I am enough. Okay? So get in and practice rigorous honesty, and stop hiding in the closet, and stop fearing being seen. Live in the glass house is number one. Number two is get inspired. Well, inspired really means in spirit. So how do we get in spirit? Well, of course, one of the really good ways to get in spirit is to meditate, to I want to say something about that right here. there's different types of meditation. We have, the meditation where the monks, where you go within, which I got to meditate, learn meditation from one of the monks in Sedona a couple years ago. Very neat experience. But it's not a place maybe for like someone that's new to meditation to start, because that's where you're literally in silence, you're quiet, you got to quiet the mind, you center, and there's no thought. And, as Wayne Dyer's always said, it's getting in the gap. And it's finding the space between the thoughts and then broadening that space. Well, I like to recommend, and I even practice a lot of the guided meditations, because it gets your mind's still thinking, but you're redirecting the thought, and you are reaffirming, and you're changing the patterns of your thoughts. And so guided meditations work really good. Sound meditations are really great too. And they're to cleanse your aura, clear your chakras, and all kinds of things like that. But to get in spirit is to really align with yourself and find yourself, so that you get in alignment with spirit, so that you become one with self and one with spirit, and to be able to basically kind of defragment your soul, your life, and remove that clutter out of the way, so that ultimately what you do is you gain conscious clarity, so that leaves the room for you to create in. Because if the closet's too full, you can't go buy more clothes. And you can, but you're going to stuff them in there, and they're going to get all wrinkled, and you're going to be frustrated every time you open that door and try to find something to wear, because you're not going to be able to find it. So start cleaning out your clutter and your soul and your thoughts and your actions and your life and the things around you, and making that list that if you haven't released what doesn't serve your purpose, get on that. It's time. The time is now. And that will shift your energy. And when you shift the energy, you become more inspired to do more. There is nothing worse than putting all your energy into something and go nowhere with a rat on the wheel. Getting inspired is to where, when you are in the spirit and you've aligned with your music's coming out of the box, and the song is playing like a big orchestra, and everyone's building up to that grand finale that's creating the vibration within you, and the emotions start to raise up, and tears in the eyes, and this beautiful like symphony, right? That is where you get in spirit, and let it inspire you, to motivate you to move and stop being stuck. And that's where I said meditations are good at starting to shift energy. So getting inspired and getting in spirit is like energy and motion, getting, the movement. So instead of feeling the despair, the doubts, the things that are keeping you stuck, start doing things that's going to give you this sensation of like excitement and joy and fun, and let you up to where you get in that spirit of the flow of the energy and let your light shine. So that was number 2, is get inspired or get in spirit. With that coming through, I want you to practice this. I want you to do this. I want you to answer this question. My soul wants to ... I want you to think about that. Listen to some kind of music that gets your soul stirring. Get up and sing the happy dance and start moving around, and then sit down and say, my soul wants to ... Get you a spiritual mentor. Get you somebody that you can listen to. Get plugged into, these videos. Get subscribed if you're not subscribed. Be sure to feed your mind daily. Feed your soul daily. You would be starving to death if you didn't eat physically, right? Well, your soul is starving if you're not feeding it something positive to inspire on a daily basis. And let me tell you what, in this society and what's going on outside in this world, you better be doing some inspirational things throughout the day, especially if you're in a space of, this place of despair, because it's a negative world out there. But we got to find the inner inspired place inside of us where that truth is. And that's the inner light inside to come out. Now, number 3 is take a different action. Because what happens is, in this definition, it's a definition of insanity of I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, but at the same token, I'm doing the same thing every day and the same O, same O, same O, same O. It's time to do something different. That's going to move the energy. Energy is ever changing, and we are to evolve through this and grow with the flow. And if we don't grow and get in the flow of the movement of this light in motion that I'm talking about here, then we're either going to be shifted, forced to shift, or we're going to be staying stuck hitting those turbulence of that energy that we're fighting, and we're coming in the plane and the turbulence, and it's just getting rougher and rougher and rougher, and it's going to shake us up until it shakes it out, until it shakes that light out of you. You know, it's just going to happen that way. And so it's kind of like just get up and get inspired and get moving. And definitely there's some changing perception in that, but I want to tell you what a huge part of this is. You have got to commit to your sacred self, that authentic person inside of you that came here to shine and share message. And that means you have to say yes to this journey. And you have to learn to do that without wavering faith. And most of all, do you really believe in miracles? Do you believe that miracles can happen? Because what you believe is what you're going to get. So if you don't like what you have going on right now, you need to shift your consciousness and your belief system and create some of your own magic in your own universe so you can create the stars and to start giving grace and gratitude for your darkness, because that's where your star shines. That's where your illumination comes through. And I'm going to give you an example of this. So I had this, this was like first thing when I woke up this morning, this is what my thoughts were. I'll just share with you. You should just step into my head for a day. So I was thinking about this is how when I woke up. Okay, so I said, what is today's topic? And what am I to share today? And this is what came through. We can be the sun light, and we can be big, bold, beautiful, which is great when it's in our empowerment. But if we were only sunlight and we had this nothing but beating down the sun all the time, that would be like, give you an example, somebody that's so big and bold that comes at you all the time so strongly that it's so overbearing that it drives you nuts, annoys you, and you don't want to hear what they have to say. And so you back out of that situation because it's too bright. It's too bold. On the other hand of that, we have the moonlight. And in the moonlight, it creates illumination. And in this illumination, that is who we become, finding our own light in the darkness. We can't do this inner work without the darkness. We are becoming the moon and we're becoming the stars in the middle of the night so it can wake up our illumination to create and magnetize a beacon of light for other people to find and migrate towards you and become a magnet that need to find their own way. You become the lighthouse in the dark. Okay? Now, do you want to be the sun or do you want to be the moon? This is what I'm describing here. This was my concept and thought of this today. And I was like, wow, which, of course, these are channeling ideas. I'm not this brilliant, honestly, but even though I have I call it my Einstein moments, because trust me, I'm very scientific minded. So I will share with you some of the research I did this week on some of this stuff that's really, really cool. The point being is, illuminate your light. Become the stars by finding the light inside and diving in for that light in the darkness and waking that up and becoming the star for others to follow. that is you stepping into that purpose. But ultimately, the purpose is that whatever that is that you're happy doing it. So I have a couple of really cool things to share with you now of the Van Gogh painting. So I mentioned I had a viewer that sent me the message. So the message she sent me, I'm just going to kind of sum that up really quick, but I'm not going to say all of what was sent, but it had to do with, first of all, the coincidences that she had been seeing the Van Gogh painting as well, and the synchronicities in that with my story of me and the swan, so Cornwall, and how I, through a past life, connected to the swans, and more ways than I could sit here and tell you about. But my story, my baseline story, is in my first book, Twin Flame Code Breaker 1111 Key Codes. There's a whole bunch more about the swans that's came through for me since then. Ultimately, we're becoming, in this light that I'm talking about, we are becoming the majestic swans. And she had followed enough of me to know about the swans, and she made the comment that she'd been seeing the painting. But she had had a dream, and the dream basically put her on a search for her finding the constellation of Cygnus. Cygnus in Greek stands for swan. And interesting, I've never heard of this. It's the swan constellation. So I'm going to call it the swan constellation for the purposes of this video. But Cygnus is C-Y-G-N-U-S. And if you want to look that up, definitely do that. In fact, I'll put the link she gave me below here, so you'll have that. It is seen, it's a constellation that is seen in the summer in the northern hemisphere, in the winter in the southern hemisphere. And the interesting thing, as I started researching, definitely it caught my attention from the swan aspect, but there were so many things that started peering up about it. So inside of the Cygnus, which represents the swan, there is twin stars, which I found very interesting. The whole constellation sits with a nebulous in the background that they call the black hole. This is one of the most enchanting constellations that scientists have studied, and everyone revolved this around like the love aspect. And within this constellation is also the cross of Calvary, which is what's known as, the death of Jesus and the resurrection, which is what we're going through this ascension process as twins, and all of us going up in this ascension process. And also within that constellation, one of its brightest stars, Deneb, I believe it was, is connected to the Trinity, the summer Trinity, which, we're related, twin flames were related to being connected to, like, the Egyptian pyramidal triangular energy. When she sent me this, it was called the Circle of Cygnus, and I've been working and writing all over the weekend about the Circle of Life, and the video that came, the message that came through with the Circle of Life, in the last week's video. There were trails, like things that in this information she sent me about a wolf trail, the Ankh cross, and the Egyptian, and all these pieces that are all, everything that has been part of my twin flame code awakenings was in this one, like, place that she had sent me, like a link to an article, a blog maybe it was, and ultimately it really, really was like caught my attention, as she knew it would, I'm sure, based on all of that. And so I was like just processing it all. Like, I spent a whole morning just going through like all of that stuff. And then I had the aha moment, my Einstein moment. I thought, okay, what is the correlation of this? She's seeing paintings of Van Gogh, and here's this swan constellation. Well, Van Gogh has the stars is that a constellation in the Van Gogh painting? So I started doing my Einstein research. And I started looking. And sure enough, scientists and researchers have narrowed it down, believing that the cygnus is in that Einstein's star pattern is a constellation, and it's either the Aries or the Cygnus, because both of them carry that the star that I was talking about, the Deneb star. I don't know if I'm saying it right, honestly, but it's something close to it. It's the brightest star in the sky that we see. And so there's a lot of researchers then that believe that it is the Cygnus, that it is the Swan constellation. Now, I told you when this whole thing started coming up that, you know, and if you are coming into this and you did not watch the last 2 videos from the last 2 weeks, I suggest you go back and start watching those and see this unfold from what I'm talking about here today. Because if you're following, you're going to understand what I'm saying. But ultimately, you know, I had said that I believe Van Gogh to be, you know, a twin flame. I believe that Van Gogh had a message in his painting for twin flames. I believe that, you know, his being in the asylum, you know, had to do with the lack of love and the lack of hope and the depression. But on the other end of that, he was also creating this message to bring forth, I believe, at the right time, and it is now. And what that ultimately is saying is going inside what I just said to you. Going inside the darkness creates the stars, and that's how we let our light shine. And that to learn to love what we do, and to basically, I also had done some research on this, and some of the research that I had found showed that from scientists' research on the painting, that the strokes and that the patterns of these stars did create a nebula, but it also is light in motion, is what they're calling the starry, starry night, light in motion. And the reason being is because they're saying that the strokes he did, and paintings prior didn't have it, paintings after didn't have it, and they're saying that the type of strokes that he painted had energy in it of turbulence and relevance. Now, that is what we do as a twin flame journey. We go through a hell of a lot of turbulence, right? A lot of chaos, right? To become reality. And all of that is light in motion. And that's what you are to become in letting this purpose out of its box and living out your light and letting it shine and letting your illumination of that purpose is to live, be a light in motion. Now, that's why I started to say earlier where I started to mention this and it didn't come all the way through. Be a sermon rather than preach one. Let your light shine rather than being so bold that you push people away. That's creating the harmonic balance between the two and bringing into form that which, you know, we came here to do. So now I want to mentioned that I had a session with a client this morning. So yellow, because of these starry night, if you look at starry night, it has so much yellow in it, right? Yellow had been coming in and I started seeing those stars as the illumination of our purpose. And I've been seeing this. And so just before, when I tune in for my client sessions, I tune in prior and I, you know, pull in guidance and doing reading and I get into the energy field. And I have this light over here and the light had turned yellow before. It wasn't that way this morning when I first turned it on, but it changes colors all the time. And sometimes I'll make it change, sometimes it'll change. And it's actually one of those body figures that you see. So anyway, I would show it to you, but it's got a very short cord and it has to plug into my computer and it didn't plug it. But so I was like, I kept being drawn to the yellow. And then the cards I was pulling and the energy I was reading, I understood her to be rebirthing her light. And I understood her to be letting that light shine. Well, at the beginning of our session, she started telling me how she'd been doing this exercise I had her do to go through the rebirth and to rewrite her story and to come on through that rebirth. And she'd been going through this massive rebirth shift over the last 24 hours and she understood all the reasons why she wanted to run. And basically, ultimately, what it has to do is when we birth this life, there's a relationship to that and what we're going through in the rebirth of ourselves now for the major lesson we're here to learn. And that in that major lesson, once we kind of get it, we can come on through. So she was sharing this with me, and it just like there was this yellow light behind her, and she had a yellow shirt on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to tell you this. And I started telling her. She goes, well, you know, literally just before the session, I changed shirts. She had changed her shirt into a yellow shirt. And I'm like, wow, you're illuminating. This illumination and all this rebirth is about your purpose coming up and everything. And she had stepped into some purpose over the weekend at all this is happening and doing like a group meditation. And she was, you know, saying how all of this was giving her the confidence of finding her light, was stepping into that, you know, for her own purpose, her own mission. And so anyway, it was just this beautiful confirmation of this what I'm saying is this purpose and this light and illumination and the light and motion. So I don't know, I just wanted to share that with you because it was the confirmation I was getting. In addition to that, it was a couple days ago, I said I've been writing. So I've been writing Champ's book, which was almost done, Life of a Champ, 8 Tricks for Happier Humans. And at the same time, I had worked on that a couple weekends ago. And then this last weekend, I started working on some more of my book. And some of this is going parallel. Like, and I even have 4 other books going too. But in this aspect of this, a couple days ago, I was like pulling some old writings of Champ back up. Of course, everything's divine timing. So it's the exact moment for the revelation you need to click, right? So all this stuff was coming through with this light that I'd worked on. And then I get this message from Champ. And the reason I say it's a message from Champ is because in 2014 and 15, I was channeling and writing out Champ's mission. Now, this was before I awakened to the twin flame identity. And at that time, then I was writing it in third party, like, well, actually first party, Champ being the one that was delivering the message. Then I started bringing him in as the metaphors. I was rewriting some stuff. And like when I picked up back writing, and now I'm picking it back up and it's kind of coming together potentially between a cross of the two. And Champ has a message for you. And if you're just stepping in, Champ is my dog, my beloved soul partnership here and helping me with my divine mission. And if you haven't kept up with that and don't know anything about it, I suggest you go back to August at the eclipse where all this energy that we're talking about here started, and you can track my story along with what's been going on energetically that I think would give you a lot of information to help you understand what you're going through right now, because we're all going through this in some way or another. So this is from Champ, from his book, but technically a message. And I also want to tell you, this is like raw, like I'm going to read it as it was written. It has not been edited. So I just need to tune into the space for a second. Remember that you are setting an example for others to follow. You may only be interacting with one person, but they may be interacting with hundreds. You have the ability to affect change throughout the world in countless ways. Let your light shine because you are making a difference. Just like when I said I was a big spirit and a little body, I knew I had a message to share, and I told Mama that I was inspired and touched by I was inspired to touch the world with my message. I knew that this was my ultimate calling. Mama said that she learned a lot about understanding her ultimate calling too, when she shared and read the book of Dr. Wayne Dyer's book, Inspiration, Your Ultimate Calling. Mama met Dr. Dyer many years ago, before I was born. She told him that she was working on a book, a different book at the time, She never understood the power of what she told him at the time until now. She told him, as long as I'm living, your work will never die. At the time she told him this, she had no idea where those words came from. And her head always would say, why did you say that? Mama told me the story of how he became her spiritual mentor, and that she walked through her early stages of personal development, during which time she slowly began to understand what it meant to create her own spiritual connection and connect to her ultimate calling. Dr. Dyer told Mama to follow her desires and not to die with her music still in her. She has never forgot that, especially being that she has a desire to write since she was a little child. It was as though she felt it was her ultimate calling. She just did not know how to capture her message, let alone implement the steps to writing a heartfelt book or how to share that message with the world. Mama says that I was her inspiration for that, and that I spoke to her, and as she began to listen to her own intuition, she knew that I was on this planet to teach her and to help her share her mission by spreading it into the world. Once Mama got out of her head and started helping me with my mission and my message, she discovered our messages coincided in parallel. I taught Mama how to listen to her heart and learn more about self-acceptance and self-reliance and self-empowerment. Here is my final message to you. Go out into this world and just start serving a purpose. Don't worry about how to figure out how to do it. And above all, stop saying that you don't know how to make it happen. You don't have to. Everything you need is already inside of you. Just let go and listen to your heart, and that anything else and everything else will then become possible. Shift your belief system from the thinking that you have to have control over all these details, fix something, or make things happen, to know that something greater than you will provide your every need to create what you were sent here on this earth to accomplish. Move out of your head and into your heart, and you will recognize that your divine perfection is already present inside of you, and that there is nothing that you can't do if only you believe that you can. Your beliefs will eventually turn into a knowing, and when you know, you just know that you know that you know, and it creates a feeling as though it already has happened in your life. And in that pit of your gut, you just are going to know. These feelings are the catalyst to the material world. Your external world is in direct relation to the mirrored manifestation of what's going on inside of your soul. Master the art of learning to feel, and you will have mastered the ability to physically create and produce your wildest dreams. That, my friends, is from a 32-pound dog. And I'm not kidding when I tell you that I channeled this dog. I channeled this dog before I knew about the twin flame journey. This dog went around the world with his mission before I ever got around the world. He has a bigger fan base than I have. He has a message that's big, and he's here to teach me everything. And I'm going to tell you, these animals are really, really here to help us ascend. They're going through their own ascension. They are also these star beings that have come here, just like these star children. You know, some of the animals have came here to actually teach, and some have came here to learn. Right now in this ascension, a lot of came here to teach. And I can feel this coming because I'm seeing shifts with a lot of people around me shifting into this animal energy. I can name 3 off the top of my head that are just bam, bam, bam right now. and talking about how these animals are connecting to their own missions of this. So this is just coming through because you might have your own experience with your own pet that's partly bringing out this light for you and helping you shine too. He didn't figure out, there's the thing. This 32-pound dog didn't have to say a word. He didn't have to figure out how this message was going to get around. His message was going to get around the world as far as his smile and helping people smile and stepping out, creating unity and peace and harmony, which is what his message is. And, and now it's filtered into my message to share with you. And here he comes again. And speaking of which, I can't wait to have the homecoming video to share with you in March. Ultimately, what this is saying is let your inner light shine and let that light, your own light, guide your way home. In closing, I want to bring up another example that came through just this morning. This was all going on. I look over, I have a masa table over here with all of these things that speak to me and different things I've collected. And I see this, the beacon of light. And just so you know, this is St. Clair that represents the beacon of light here, letting her light shine in the darkness. So there's a story behind her light shining in the darkness for other people to follow and find themselves. And there'll be more to come about her because there's much more stories about her that I'm connected to than I could ever begin to even open a can of worms to share with you here. But what I will tell you is that I felt there was a message from her, so I did this little Google search and I found this that I want to share with you in closing. Do not be afraid, for you will give birth in safety to a light that will give light more clearly than light itself and shine brightly in the world. And her name, in fact, Claire, means light. So, I am light, I am love, I am one, I am the truth, I am the light, and I am the way. Find your truth, illuminate your light, and it will shine its way for you to find your way home. And then, like the stars, allow you to show other people how to do the same because they're going to want what you have. I promise. All right, cool. Very, very good stuff. I'm so excited to share this with you. I do want to share one other thing with you. Make sure to check out my new blog below. There'll be more information about this in the blog below for today's topic, as well as I have been guided to do a video and reading for people. That's a 20-minute reading for in video, and I'm going to put a link below. And I started feeling this nudge for 2 or 3 days that kept saying, offer. And this is short term. It could be long term. I don't know. All I know is that I was shown to invite people that maybe are wanting a reading that haven't been able to get a reading with me, an opportunity to present their intention at the time they sign up for this, and me to record a reading for you in a 20-minute session that will be emailed to you. At the moment this was coming through for me, I had somebody send me an email that said, could you do a video recording message for me? And then something came up that they weren't able to, and they didn't respond back because I had a question for them. If you happen to see this, just know I want to thank you for confirming for me that this is how I get my confirmations as to I was guided to put that out there, and then somebody requested it. So if this is something that resonates with you, there'll be a link below. There are other ways to glow with me forward below. Be sure to check out more that shine. Like, comment, share the shine, and may you always face your fears, find freedom, and glow forward on fire. Namaste.